Hello, welcome to Capital Insider. I'm Carol Hunter, politics editor at the Des Moines Register, and with me today are Jason Noble, who covers the Iowa House, and Bill Petrosky, who covers the Iowa Senate. It's the end of the first week of the 85th General Assembly. Looking ahead to next week, it already seems there's at somewhat of a loggerhead.
Yeah, I think that's right. There's two big issues that are going to dominate this session that we're already hearing a lot about. That's education reform and property tax reform. And it seems like in both cases, Democrats in the Senate, Republicans in the House, and the governor have found some things to disagree over. On education, it's kind of the order in which some policy issues are going to be worked out. And on property tax, it's the structure of the tax proposal.
Bill, over in the Senate, we heard that perhaps they're ready to just bull right ahead on school aid.
That's exactly right. The governor said that he first wanted the legislature to address his education reform plan, but the Senate Democrats have said, no, Iowa law requires that within the first 30 days of a legislative session, that the legislature must approve basic school aid for the coming academic year to allow for planning so that teachers don't have to be laid off, that type of thing. So they're going to move ahead immediately, and within the next 2 weeks, you'll see them approve a 4% increase in basic school aid. Governor does not have the money but in his budget for that, so that's going to be a significant thing.
From the governor's perspective, he's trying to just say reform is so important, target those dollars first. He seemed open to perhaps some other dollars, but they do seem at loggerheads over this timing.
That's exactly right. And there's some pretty bad feelings about that because, and I can tell you just being out there at my desk adjacent to the Senate floor, that there were some Senate Democrats who felt flat out. I heard one of them talking on the phone to constituents who said that, gosh, the governor is trying to dictate to us what to do. They don't like that.
In the House, it seems like they're ready to dig into the policy side.
That's right. That argument over the funding formula hasn't reached the House yet. They're in fact going to start talking about the governor's education reform package on Tuesday evening, their first day back in week 2. Okay.
And can you tease out yet what disagreements might there be? So far, it seems like perhaps overarching, they agree with a lot of his proposals.
That's right. It's been interesting these months leading up to session that there seems to be a wide agreement among everyone from the teachers' unions to House Republicans that the reform package is headed in the right direction. I think it'll be really interesting this week and moving forward to see once people are around a table actually hashing out those details, what kind of disagreements or compromises, consensus arises.
One area where there doesn't seem to be much agreement, once again, is
Correct.
over how to lower commercial property taxes. Bill, where do you see that in the Senate?
Well, it's pretty clear that the Senate Democrats in the past 2 years, they've talked a lot about providing targeted property tax credits aimed at small and medium-sized businesses, Main Street types of businesses. They don't think that the Iowa legislature should be spending a lot of money to help a company like Walmart, and particularly companies that are based out of state. And if you talk with Mike Gronsdale, he'll tell you that his plan provides more assistance to 4 out of 5 Iowa businesses than the governor's plan does. They think that makes more sense. Governor doesn't see it that way at all. One of the things that they point out, that the governor points out, is that property taxes, that is not necessarily a permanent type of thing. If the legislature doesn't fund it, it won't be there forever, whereas the governor wants a permanent change, property taxes, something that would be across the board that would help all classes of property.
Where does the House stand?
It looks like at this point that the House is going to take up the governor's proposal. I don't think that means that they're committed to it, but that's going to be their starting point in talking about this property tax reform.
They also introduced some other types of tax reform.
That's right. Similar, but not the same, but similar to 2 years ago, they've introduced some income tax changes that could lead to lower income taxes for Iowans. One of them would take the large surplus that the state has built up and actually send that back to Iowans in the form of an income tax credit. They're also talking about some limits to the way state government can raise and spend money that might build up a surplus that can then be turned back to Iowans as well.
While everyone says our big priorities are education and tax reform, Will there once again be some divisive social issues that end up taking a lot of time? What do you think, Bill?
Well, I don't see a lot of talk about abortion or gay marriage, although I did see an abortion-related bill introduced or was being drafted last week in regards to prohibiting abortions for gender selection. Whether that will get any discussion, I don't know, but it's pretty clear that over in the House that there is some significant interest I'm expecting in regards to a couple of gun-related issues, stand your ground type legislation, and just reinforcing Second Amendment things, which I think the Republicans, there's probably a pretty good chance that they will do that, just to reinforce their support for the Second Amendment, especially with what President Obama is proposing. But the Democrats, they stand back and look at that and they say, why are we spending our time with this? We've got important business to do. So there's clearly some tensions that arose here last week.
Well, read about those tensions. Are they going to rise more or start to dissipate in the second week? Catch updates to all the news at our Iowa Politics Insider blog at DesMoinesRegister.com, and we'll see you next week.